I remember a few years ago, I read this crack online where someone was insulting the incompleteness of a lot of martial arts. It's not really the art that's incomplete, it's really more the level of the instructor's knowledge that's not complete about an art. Anyway, I can't remember who said it. I think it was John something, but I'm not sure. I think it was John, but let me see. Anyway, he called them partial arts. Partial arts are martial arts that don't have everything that their art is supposed to be able to offer. And I think a lot of the partial arts phenomenon is because of competition in sports. It's because people want to do something to distinguish. First of all, people want to do something to distinguish their art from everything else's. But then after a while, what happens is that once you find a distinguishing thing, people just want to do that all the time, that distinguishing thing, because basically the distinguishing thing tends to be fun, it's easy to understand, and then after a while, when you spend all your time sparring, that's all you care about, and then you can even just end up caring about competitions. Another thing I think that causes partial arts is people leave their teacher as soon as they get black belt. Now, anybody that knows me from judo is going to accuse me of that. That's what you did with judo. You left as soon as you got black belt. Well, yeah, I did, technically. But I do intend on going back. I just can't go back now because I had to make an unspoken deal with my family. Was, all right, we let you get your black belt in this thing, but then you got to spend time with us. That's pretty much what happened. People even said as much. So they let go on the dad, we want you home thing. They let me get a black belt in judo. Then I had to come on back. So now I got to wait for them to leave the nest and I'll go back to judo. So with partial arts, this is where I see it happen the most. And if you get mad, I'm sorry, you just get mad. People get to like a first degree black belt and say in Taekwondo. And it's not just Taekwondo that does it. And don't try to insinuate anything because that's my main style. People get a black belt in Taekwondo. For some reason, either of their own volition or even maybe sometimes their teacher, for whatever reason, they get the first degree black belt and then they got to leave their dojo. And then they may be on their own. Or heck, when I got to, and I didn't get the black belt rank, but if it had happened these days, I would have been the equivalent of black belt. But well, if it was by today's standards, I would have been a black belt in high school. But I get to about green, getting ready to go to the blue belt level, and then my teacher goes to jail. It happens. My teacher went to jail, so who I'm going to train with? My teacher's in jail. The only teacher I could afford was in jail. So he's gone, and then we got to wait for the rec center to find another teacher to put in there. And then that's how I ended up in Tangsudo, because my first formal Taekwondo teacher went to jail. Oh, and then I had to stop Tangsudo because gas power. I went into the military and college. But that's what happens. People end up leaving. Let's say they get the first degree and then they stop because that's all they wanted anyway. And in not all cases, but in a lot of cases, a first degree is really not enough to be a teacher. Now, see, that's why I prefer to slow promote, and I have a lot of requirements for first degree, because really, if I promote you to first degree, I want to be able to say you're an instructor, which means you're at the point where you should be independently learning, and I mentor you now. I don't always have to be as hands-on, unless hands-on is the only way to really convey that technique to you. Like with judo two-person katas, you really need another person to help you do it because it's supposed to be done with two people. Something else like Q show, you need someone else there in the beginning stages, especially, so you can get a feel for the techniques to work with somebody. You can, even if you're just one teacher and one student, you can technically practice on each other once you both know the revival stuff. So I could, there's a time and a place where you need a teacher. But I suspect that, I'll just say I suspect, even though I know they do. But I suspect that some schools are putting people at black belt. It's not saying I'm an instructor. It's saying this is a marketing gimmick, and we got you to black belt in about like 3, 4, 5, no, not even 4, about 3 years or less. Because a 5-year student, some of them could be black belts and teaching and not need to be washed over anymore. Now, like one martial arts organization I was in, they told me when you get the black belt, you are deliberately neglected because they want you to think for yourself. They want you to start learning how to think. Now, what you can do is get a more seasoned martial artist to mentor you. But nobody's standing over your shoulder anymore. But I don't think that org that I'm talking about, I'm not going to say their name, I've never seen them promote anybody to a black belt in 3 years or less. So that's what happens. Partial arts. And for a time, I was a partial martial artist. And heck, you can even say I'm still a partial martial artist. That's fine. I don't know everything I need. But now I'm getting to the point where I see why a lot of the really super experienced, more mature, old martial artists say that all you need is one style to really defend yourself. Because if you really, truly could get with somebody who knows, quote unquote, all of the stuff of that style, you'd have the style basics. You'd have enough techniques to complement where the style is quote unquote weak. You would know about atemi and pressure points. You would know any healing aspects that the art has. And you would know its philosophy. You would know any weapons that it has. Some martial arts are unarmed. Some are. They don't rely on weapons. And that's fine. My art pretty much doesn't rely on weapons. So I don't have a problem with that. But you would know that. You would get all that from that teacher. By the time, I would say, probably by the time you get to about 3rd degree black belt, you would know enough, 3rd or maybe 4th degree black belt, you would know enough that you really could stand on your own. But, if you take too long to promote people to black belt these days, they're going to leave you. They are. They're going to leave you. So, while I'm criticizing people that create partial artists, at the same time, I don't blame them. It's not like these people have enough patience to stick around until they really get it anyway. They want to be a black belt in no more than 3 years. You got some people told me they expect to get a 1st degree black belt in a year. Now, if you're going to school 5, 6 days a week, 2 or 3 hours a day, I could see that. I really could. But most people aren't doing that. They expect to get a black belt in a year. And see, you can't rush it but so much, because with a lot of this stuff, just like I'm learning with my my day job, learning this system, trying to rush through and burn through the information doesn't necessarily work, because you need to take it in, it needs to digest, and it needs to grow. It's like a garden. It needs to grow a little bit. And then you need to take in some more information, and it needs to digest, and it needs to grow inside of you. And then you need to take in the information, and it needs to grow on. Now, you can accelerate your learning by concentrating on a few things here and there. But if you try to go too much, just like if you try to pour too much water on a garden, you're going to flood it. And it's still going to die. So that's my rant on partial arts. The best we can do is try not to be partial artists, but martial artists, and learn everything we can. Peace.